How many discounts does USDA auto insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Business. How can you free up your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business empowers leaders to not only streamline purchasing, but better support their teams so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more about the technology, insights, and support available at amazonbusiness.com.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
Target compound.
Combat, it's killing. That's what it is. And it's done in an environment that is often as difficult as you can possibly imagine. Extremes of climate. It's uncivilized. And women can't do it. The requirements for strength and endurance render them unable to do it. Doesn't work.
I knew the moment I stepped in over there at Bragg, I was like, we are being watched and something bigger is shaking out, I guarantee it.
You're looking at each other. Is she as tough as I am?
It was a bunch of female alphas.
You're doing this for every other woman that's going to come after you. Any argument that a man's going to have about why women shouldn't be allowed to be here, don't contribute one iota.
I thought, war? What are you doing here?
It was a man's club. Like, that is the lion's den that we just walked into.
For 8 years of a war, we didn't see the other half of a target vote.
You bring a white man in a very intimidating US uniform. A lot of women will feel uncomfortable.
We're gonna go into that darkness and just be like, you need this done? Okay, let's go.
This is not what I was expecting at all.
Nobody cares if you're a man or a woman. You are defined by your actions purely.
Having this one woman on target freed up probably 4 guys.
I would have liked to have seen that play out a little bit.
I start to wonder if you're there too long, if whatever gains you made start to erode themselves, and soon you leave in the same place you started. What does winning look like?
War's not stopping. How long has America been around? How many wars we been in? Conflicts? Only thing changed is the date.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation, our Thursday after dinner show. I know you have things you can be doing tonight, like watching the Sweet 16 kickoff or whatever you do on your Thursday night, but you're here with us, so we thank you for hanging out with us. Tonight, we'll start off with, two bits of bad news. We have 4 soldiers that are still missing in Lithuania after an accident with their Hercules vehicle or tank wrecker. Got stuck in the swamp. They have not found the bodies as of yet, that I know of. They're from Third ID. Let's keep their families and their brothers and sisters in your thoughts and prayers. We also lost another police officer, Osmar Rodarte, Marysville Police Department, California. End the watch is Wednesday, March 26, 2025. He is also a United States Army veteran. So let's keep his family, friends, the community in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. As this is a Women's History Month, I want to highlight one who is a misfit, one who is one of my soldiers in Kandahar and beyond. She's part of my family now. Chantel Chantel Watts. Man, she was a warrior in uniform. She would do PT after working the night shift and still smoke everyone around her. She was fierce soldier, fierce competitor, and she's even more fierce now as she's on the outside with her young ones. Putting them on the track, and she's still doing fitness stuff like crazy. So tonight we salute Sergeant Chantel Cumming for everything she did in the service and now out of the service. Tonight we have a great guest, U.S. Army veteran. He's a former CrossFit gym owner, 6th-generation ranching descendant who spent the last 5 years on a mission to decentralize the American food supply chain. In 2020, when the pandemic exposed the fragility of our food system, AJ went from selling his family's beef direct to consumer to managing a USDA meat plant in Wyoming. That experience opened his eyes to the real problem: middlemen, not the farmers, ranchers, or consumers. So without further ado, let's welcome AJ Richards, U.S. Army vet and founder of From the Farm. Welcome, AJ.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me, Rich.
It's awesome to have you here. We have some things in common, both in the Army. We both got to go to a beautiful vacation spot called Ramadi. So, AJ, I gave a little bit about you right there. If you don't mind, take us back a little further. Tell us a little more about you and how we got here.
Yeah. I was raised in a place called St. George, Utah. Amazing place to be. Good time of life to grow up there. It's very busy now. It's grown, 5-6 times what it used to be. Grew up, my family were 5 generations into the 6th generation of ranching. So I was very fortunate to have this experience with a family that was very large in size and also had this ranching background. It's a very unique, I recognize, having, traveled the world now, that's a very unique opportunity to come from that. These people homesteaded in 1916, staked their flag in the ground and just made it work. Right. So, that was life growing up, spending time with cousins, going ranching as often as I could. Family reunions, we literally have 1,100 people at every family reunion. Like that's our clan. So it's just unique, right? And most of them are in agriculture. So I grew up around this life of agriculture. But my uncle told me once, if you want to be a millionaire rancher, you need to start with 10 million because you lose it all. And I must have heard that. So I tried to go other routes to become successful so that I could someday retire to a ranch, right? And anyway, so that's where I live, St. George, Utah. Ended up joining the National Guard, Army National Guard when I was 18. And fast forward, I got married, joined the National Guard, got married. We deployed. I actually deployed 2 weeks after I was married. That was 2003. We were supposed to go to Iraq. Our last day in the field, preparing for overseas deployment, they pulled us into the parade field and said, "You're not going to Iraq. The war is over." And that was when Bush had just announced the war in Iraq was over, 2003. we don't need heavy artillery. So instead, you guys are going to go play Op 4 with ROTC and OCS in Fort Lewis, Washington for the rest of the summer. So that was our first deployment on the way to combat. And then now we're doing laser tag. So we did 6-month deployment there and then went back home. And then a year later, we were deployed to Ramadi. So back then they couldn't deploy National Guardsmen for more than 2 years within a 5-year period. And since we'd already been deployed for 6 months, they figured, hey, why not just abuse the hell out of these guys and deploy them for 18 months to use up the full 2 years.
Wow.
And so they did. Sent us to Camp Shelby, Mississippi for 6 months, similar to what we were doing in Colorado, the first deployment, just getting ready to go overseas, right? We're National Guardsmen. We don't train full time. So they're getting us spun up, ready for combat. Sent us home just before we deployed, and then we left to Ramadi for a year. So anyway, come home from Iraq, end up in Phoenix, Arizona. When I came home from Iraq, I started selling pest control door to door. Hated every second of that. I remember thinking, going door to door, I used to be a warrior, and now I'm a freaking pest control salesman. I was making good money, man, but the purpose in life was gone, So trying to figure out what that looked like. But that's when I ended up getting introduced to CrossFit and opened the CrossFit gym down there. So opened the CrossFit gym, and then we started this company called Rush Club, and it was a head-to-head fitness competition where we put athletes on stage, kind of blended UFC and CrossFit, and we grew that to 250,000 live viewers every show. And we would fill 300 to 900 people, depending on the venue, in-house, holding tickets, being there for this event. So it was growing really well. And this was my path to buying a ranch. This thing is going to blow up. I'm going to make all kinds of money and I can go buy a ranch. And then we went bankrupt. Yeah, that was 2018. So here I am, almost 40, bankrupt, starting over. And I remember thinking before we left Phoenix, this is what it feels like when guys get to that point where they're just done. Like I remember distinctly in the back shed that I had, it was like my little man cave down there in Mesa. And I was sitting there, I was like, but I also have never felt like taking my life. And so I was observing how depressed I was feeling and seeing like, that's why these guys do it. Guys and gals do it. They get to that point and they just, pain threshold. So anyway, but I've been fortunate. I've had so many incredible mentors in my life. Like what I would tell people is the difference between success and not is mentorship. And so I had mentors in my life, and one of them taught me the distinction of success was the ability to move quickly from one failure to the next. And the key word there was quickly. And so I'm practicing moving quicker. I've still licked my wounds and feel depressed, and that kind of stuff every once in a while. Not depressed, but just down on myself. But anyway, so we moved back to St. George, Utah, living in my mom's basement and slinging concrete, doing whatever, working Walmart distribution. My wife's working her tail end off, just making ends meet after this bankruptcy. And I decide I might as well get into agriculture. Because I tried to make $10 million to get into agriculture. That didn't work. Maybe I should just go get into agriculture. So I called a cousin of mine and said, can I sell beef for your ranch? And that was 2018, 2019-ish. Just started it as a side hustle. So anyway, started there, and here we are now with From the Farm. So I can just go on forever. So I'll shut up a second and let you ask some questions.
That was an awesome journey. I was about to sit down, let you go, but
yeah.
I'll go back into what led you to service. Was there a family bond in service, or were you one of the first ones?
No, my grandfather served in World War II. He was in the 42nd Rainbow Division.
Okay.
He was a sharpshooter, which back then was essentially a sniper. And he wouldn't talk about it. He died before I was old enough to really have any conversations with him. And he'd never talked about it with my dad. His brother was in Pearl Harbor when they were bombed, and tells a story of being woken up and watching a missile bounce through one side of the barracks and out the other side as a dud. And he was the one said he watched it was in his barracks, and he survived. He was an old man, but by the time he died, but anyway, so yeah, family. Just know my grandpa did that. I went on a training mission to Germany with an engineering group once and toured Dachau. And there's a plaque on the entrance of Dachau that says dedicated to the men of the 42nd Rainbow Division. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because I was the last person since my grandfather who was on the advanced party when they went into Dachau.
Wow.
And now I'm visiting, being in the military, and I'm the last family member since him to be walking on that, that space. So it's kind of hallowed ground, and it was just incredible.
And Dachau, it'll take your breath away walking in there.
Yeah.
You don't, TV, you see the movies when we're growing up, or you've seen clips of it, and you don't realize the depth of that place, how big it was. And
right.
When you walk out on the field, we're on that parade field, I guess, as we would call it, but where they'd line them up and make them count off and every day to make sure everyone was there. That thing was huge. And there was so many thousands of men and women that went through there. And then, of course, as you go over that bridge, you see where they were taken out and killed and stuff and put in the ovens. But it was a very wild place. And for your grandfather to have that chance to go through there as the sharpshooter and with the 42nd, the Fighting Rainbows there, to get in there and be one of the liberators. And I'm sure that put that pride in his chest and all his brothers that were with him there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was neat experience. It was cool to go back and share it with his kids.
Right. Yeah.
Cause we didn't learn much about him until he died. And then at the funeral, then the stories come out from his brothers that he did confide in that also served,
Right.
So
that's a big step there. And you got to go to beautiful Ramadi in 2005. So that's right when the insurgency was really cooking. It was really cooking there. And that's almost about the time of the first surge, wasn't it? 5, 6. So
yeah.
So you were there right when all chaos happened in Iraq.
It was nuts.
A little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, I don't know why, but when mortars fall, I'm trying to watch. I remember thinking, oh, this is I like watching these movies. Why don't watch it? I'm in real life, Stupid, very dumb, but that was just me. So I was never afraid there. I think that played a huge role in my ability to transition coming home. I didn't feel like I was wound up. Now I definitely had major challenges coming home from different things, but I wasn't afraid. So I enjoyed being out there. I really didn't like the role I was in. I was in a field artillery unit as the NBC NCO.
Oh, nice.
And so I just was, I always joked I was the triple B, the Bravo battery bitch. I just filled the roles, and I hated that. I was capable of so much more, but whatever. So my first 8 months was entry control point and fob security. Like I was a fobbit, which we need them. I say that jokingly because I am one and whatever. For those that don't know, the forward operating bases, the joke for the people that never left the base was fobbit. Yep. So, but that was my first 8 months. My last 4 months, I was definitely, patrolling Route Mobile and Route Michigan. That was our mission every day. So I got enough of my fill to get over that feeling of not getting enough of it. But coincidentally, it was more dangerous being on the towers. We took RPGs and pop shots constantly. Yeah. So, but yeah, Iraq was, I'm grateful for that experience. I'm very disappointed I was there politically, like knowing what I know now, my personal opinions about why we were there. But I also feel like there are very few opportunities in life for the transition of boyhood to manhood. And used to be part of culture in every culture around the world, right? The dad's job was to teach the skills, and it was the trusted members of the tribe that put him through the challenges to turn them into a man. Right. And we've lost that in modern society, unless you join the military or you go on a mission, or as a young man, you leave the nest and go figure it out on your own. That's what it takes. So I'm grateful for those experiences. Absolutely. And Iraq is, just right up there. Learned about grit, learned about being away from family and what it takes to be gone for a year and a half when you have a wife and a 5-month-old at home.
Yeah.
Those kinds of lessons and learning grit and resilience that way, dealing with the heat, dealing with the meals. I mean, if, just thinking back 140 degrees in the sun and you're standing sentry inside of a turret.
Yeah.
And you don't have a choice because you're in combat. Like you can't just take a rest. Those skills are transferable in grit if you can develop discipline or carry the discipline over in the world of entrepreneurship or business or farming or whatever. But there's a lot of transferable skills, but they're the skills you may not directly see.
Right.
So yeah.
And it was hella hot in there in Ramadi. I got there in August. I got there in August, so I was advanced party. I got there first and landed in Baghdad and convoyed out there with no doors on a vehicle and drove there because we were badass. We were tough and sweating everything off on the ride down Michigan into Fob Junction City there.
Yep.
I think at the time it was Fob Ramadi or something, but we named it Junction City because we came from Manhattan, Kansas, and Junction City, Kansas. So that's how it got that name. And I never stayed on the FOB, so I can't call them. I was out every day.
Were you?
I was actually the brigade and Seaburn NCO, NBC NCO. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Small world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was unfortunate because there was a lot of us that really wanted to go and wanted to do our part. And guys like you would be coming in the gate and we could just see run ragged.
Yep.
And we would talk to each other like, dude, I'll ride in for you tomorrow. Let me go into town. Like, we didn't die because we didn't roll. Our leadership wouldn't allow is what happened. Like, we're like, look, these guys need a break. They're wore out. And we were watching guys like you that were just every single, the op tempo was abusive.
Yes.
It just was like, that's why guys are messed up. I mean, it was constant. So the things I know I missed out that I, sometimes regret I missed out on are also the reasons I'm blessed. God blessed me in certain ways that I can't deny.
And I think those blessings turned the page for you when you went through the hard times, even after when you went through that bankruptcy and you were able to find your footing. And now from the farm, I think that's your way of now finding that purpose and giving back and doing things that you were actually put on this earth for. So now we're going to go into the hard stuff for you. Tell us about From the Farm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. From the Farm only exists because of all the crap I've gone through up to this point.
Right.
And so I was selling beef for my cousin's ranch and COVID hit and we called to get our next slaughter. Right. Because I had customers now and we had a growing business and people had monthly subscriptions. So we called to get our next round of processing and they said, we can get you in 18 months. Now, 2 weeks prior, if we would have called, literally it was this fast. 2 weeks prior, if I would have called, they said, yeah, we can get you in next week. That was normal.
Right.
A few weeks after COVID hit, the entire supply chain started crumbling rapidly for many reasons. And now we called and they said, we can get you in a year and a half.
God.
And it was that way nationwide. And so we drove to every processing facility in Utah that we could possibly squeeze into, cancellations and stuff, just to get product so that our customers were fed.
Right.
But the margins inside of food are so small that it didn't warrant the travel, the wear and tear on the vehicles, the fuel. Then we had problems because every packaging facility cuts it a little different. They wrap it a little different. They label it a little different. And so it's very confusing for the customers. Lots of problems. And so while this is all happening, they're talking about empty store shelves, that they're limiting meat. And I'm driving through the country and I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm working with ranchers that have the meat. You just don't know where they are or how to find them. And so I had this sort of epiphany that if we created sort of the Airbnb or a digital farmers market for local farmers and ranchers that people could connect with them nationwide easily and transact easily, we could circumvent this supply chain issue, this shortage. And so that's where the idea started. Immediately I'm like, hell no, I'm I don't know anything about software. Like I found a voice message I sent to a friend on LinkedIn where I tried to pawn it off on him. Like, dude, this needs to happen. You should do this. He literally just graduated SaaS school, becoming a full stack software developer. So I'm like, this has to happen. I know nothing about it. You should do it. And he's like, nope. Like, he has no connection to agriculture. No. So he was like, no way. And so I just ignored it. And for a while I couldn't sleep because now COVID really had me worried. Like I'm thinking we're going to be in some real trouble. Not because of COVID, not because of the disease, but because of the way society was going, all the riots, just that kind of stuff. That's what I was like, oh man. So I really started honing in on our supply chain and studying famines and figuring out what led to those kinds of things, because now it's very clear we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I knew this had to be done, but I didn't know how to do it. I ignored it, but God wouldn't let me sleep. I'd lay my head down at night to try to go to sleep. And I kept seeing the face of this man in Iraq when we took care packages, food to the family. And I was seeing me as him watching other men feed my family.
Yep.
And I couldn't get it out of my head. And I hadn't thought of that guy for almost 20 years because that's how long I'd been there, since I'd been there. But now here's this face and I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, so I said, okay, fine. Who do I got to talk to? And I started asking around, met my next mentor, who became my advisor, who became my partner, and is an extremely successful entrepreneur, software developer, who has a blue collar. He was a contractor first and went into this space. So kind of the perfect mentor for me. And that was April of 2020. And that sent me on the journey. He says, well, the last business I would ever get into is software development. He said, only 1 in 2,000 make it. So if you think this is needed, you better do the research first, And so then I spent the next 3.5 years just asking questions and seeing where life took me. And so, yeah,
that's a good ride you've been on for the last 5 years now. You took with that lemonade, the lemons that the world gave us in 2020 or 2019, 2020, and you're making lemonade out of it now, to be cliche. And you did something you knew you could do and help out, and you tried to wrangle other people into it like wranglers do, and you got other people to help you out. But I mean, it's awesome. It's going on. You already got a question in the chat here for you. So.
Yeah, cool.
From at Sales Ma, I guess. AJ, what's the biggest misconception people have about where their food comes from?
Oh, good question. Misconception. Misconception is too expensive. That's a real strong misconception. Now, of course, you said where it comes from.
Right.
That's a good question. Well, okay, good answer for that is the labeling. So when you go to the store and you buy beef that says USA, product of the USA, there's a high likelihood that it's not. There's this law called this rule called MCOL, Mandatory Country of Origin Labeling, which should be followed, but it's not. And there's a lot of details around that I'm not smart enough to zero you in on, but put you over the bullseye anyway. So mandatory country of origin labeling means if it came from another country, it needs to have the label on there so you as the consumer know that. But lobbyists for big food and lobbied against the labeling so that they could import beef, and as long out as it's further processed in America, it can be labeled product of the USA. So what that means is they can send a cooled half of beef, like raise it in another country, slaughter it in another country, cut it in half, put it in a reefer truck and load it onto a barge, a ship, send it to America. When it gets here, it goes into a processing facility, and just by turning that carcass into ground beef and steak and roast and all the things, they can now label it product of the USA.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. That is now, and look, we actually have to have that now because last year, for the first time in history, we became a net food importer, meaning we consume more than we produce. We only have 87 million head of beef cattle in our nation, and 320 million people. So our nation is fed by foreign beef. They have killed off the small family farms and ranches to the point where we are now reliant on foreign export beef to keep us fed.
And they seem to make everything go towards the corporate farmer or the big name farmer. And a lot of those big name farmers that are in the United States now aren't even American farmers. They're corporations from around the world as well.
Yeah. JBS is the largest beef organization. They're Brazilian owned, family Brazilian owned, the Batista brothers, the Batista family, largest in the world, the largest in the country, and they're Brazilian owned. So anyway, good question.
Yeah. Thanks, Salisma. Jake is the co-host of my Tuesday show I told you about. He has a small farm in Kentucky. He generally only finishes 10 to 12 steers or heifers at a time, then sell them quarter, half, or whole to mostly repeat customers. Would it be more beneficial to sell on subscription?
Yeah, cool. Good question, Jake. Here's my opinion, and it just comes from talking and working with a lot of farmers. So we haven't finished kind of sharing what From the Farm is.
Okay.
So, but I'll answer your question first. So quarter halves and wholes are easier because you can turn over larger volumes faster. And it's easier for the customer because it's more affordable for them because how much easier it is for you. If you get into subscriptions, if you're willing to put in the infrastructure for cold storage so that you can hold on to it and sell it through over time, the nice thing about subscriptions is that you have a monthly reoccurring revenue, which is great. So now you can forecast your beef company's revenue much easier, right? If you sell me a whole beef, you're not going to talk to me for a year. I might meet somebody else by next year. I've got a new provider. So you can move faster, less infrastructure. Selling a whole, quarter halves and wholes are great. There's a lot of education that has to be done to help customers understand that that's even an option. We're really From the Farm, we're really advocating for that because a lot of our producers have asked us to lean into helping them sell quarter halves and wholes versus smaller quantities. But there's pros and cons to both sides. So just looking at your infrastructure, how much you're willing to invest in that to manage that. And on top of that, freezer space to do subscriptions, you have to supply yourself with a lot more boxes and insulation and gel packs, and you have to learn how to ship and deliver. So pros and cons, but yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. That's a big part of what we do at From the Farm.
So I'm looking at your website now, and I see the people selling things on there like Beck Ranch, Lewis Land and Cattle Farm.
Yep.
BDAR Premium Meats, Three Sons Ranch, Florida. And the prices there, I mean, I can't eat beef because of a great tick that bit me.
Oh, no.
I can eat the chicken, but are these prices generally lower than what the people would pay for beef in the store, I guess?
Yeah, good question. No, they're not. They are a higher quality beef. So most of our producers on there currently are selling beef that's a higher nutrient density because of their agriculture practices. Okay. They're not coming out of large scale feedlots. So a lot of times, depending on the operation, it requires more hands-on care, which is more time and different resources. But so short answer to your question, most of what's on there is a higher cost beef because it's a higher quality. Now there are producers on there that have figured out how to still be that family run operation, but finish on a cycle where they can efficiently enough where they can offer close to grocery store prices or at grocery store prices by still buying it from a trusted source. Okay. So there are families on there that have figured that out, but by and large, you're talking like regenerative agriculture, higher quality nutrient dense meat. One of the things that we need to work on is getting producers on that can do more affordable meat for lower income families. Right. One of the things that we're exploring around that is working with dairies that when their dairies are culling their cows because they're no longer producing milk, if they have the capacity to start another enterprise for their farm, they can turn those into ground beef and have much more affordable ground beef that's direct from the source, still fixing our food supply chain and supporting a family in agriculture to keep producing. So lots of challenges to solve in the agriculture supply chain.
And Adam answers the question for you here too. His taste is night and day difference than the stuff from the store. We buy half a cow each year, better taste, and we figured it saved us money in the long run.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. We are doing a lot of like research into the cost of buying direct. So my own family, that's all we buy now. We buy from our producers on our platform, and we buy in bulk. We buy a quarter of beef at a time so that we've always got fresh, beef in the freezer. My wife has started making a lot more home cooked meals because she has the time to do that. And what we've seen is our grocery bill has actually reduced while we source 80% of our food right from the farmers. Produce, dairy, our meat, it's all right from our producers, right? So it's actually a misconception. If you buy bulk beef, a quarter, half, or whole, you will actually save money. You can buy it from the producer for about $4,200 to $4,500, sometimes up to $5,000 to $55,000. So depending on where you live, you take that same beef and buy it by the cut out of the grocery store, a whole beef's worth, you're going to spend around $7,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big money. Yeah. Jake just said he buys quite a few dairy cattle for just around beef. Good, easy turnaround for the money.
Nice.
So he made your point there. So it shows that it's easy to turn around, and it could be a lifesaver for a lot of those who are economically challenged these days.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I try to share with people, like, even if you don't use From the Farms platform, my job is to educate you on how to help source it direct. If you ask your local farmers or ranchers for their culls, and if you're willing to find out who the local slaughterhouse is, right? So do the legwork, find out who the local slaughterhouse is, educate yourself on a cut sheet, and then call your local rancher and say, I would like to buy your cull. All I need you to do is drop it off at the butcher shop. Everything else is handled. I promise you, you've made that so easy for him. He'd rather sell it to you than at the sale barn. And you can feed your family for a really good price for an entire year, depending on your size of family, of course. If you learn how to do what our ancestors, even one generation ago, everybody knew how to do this. This was how we lived. 2 generations ago, everybody knew what a cut sheet was.
and now it's almost rocket science for some people to do it within those families. So
yeah,
it's good that there's people that are willing to help teach, coach, mentor as they start their, drive to the small time for the smaller farmer. And as less land is available now, with more subdivisions going up everywhere you look, more rooftops going up, it's going to be even more of a challenge as we move forward.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing might alleviate some of that. Hopefully it does. I don't know the science behind it, but you hopefully you're on the right path, I believe. And I think if more people jump in and do what you're doing, we might stop a lot of things that are going on.
Yeah. If you'll allow me to, let me finish explaining From the Farm so that people know what it is. So we did build it, went through, did the research. During that 3.5 years of R&D, I ended up running a slaughterhouse in Cody, Wyoming. If you would have told me that in 2020 that I was going to do that, I would have quit then. It was not on the radar. I didn't even move to Cody to run it. I moved to Cody to oversee operations of a vertically integrated direct-to-consumer meat company. So what I learned with my cousin was, if I don't own the slaughterhouse, I don't have a business. And so we shut down the business with my cousin. I found some people interested, and we bought a slaughterhouse in Cody, partnered with the local ranchers, and started this label. Partnership wasn't great, didn't work out. But during that time, I was here for I told him, I said, I'll move to Cody and oversee operations, like meet the ranchers, connect them with our buyers, do the marketing, but I'm not running the slaughterhouse. They're like, don't worry about it. The guy running it's been doing this forever. You're good. Well, I had to let him go after 4 months, and there was no choice. And Cody's a small town. There's 10,000 people here. And to find a qualified individual to run a USDA slaughterhouse is just not in the cards. And the next best person to run it is somebody that has everything to lose if it doesn't work. So I looked at my wife and I said, hey, babe, can you run the books and I'll steer the ship, I guess. So we ran the slaughterhouse. We did that for a year. that was enough research and development for me to know what I had in mind to build needed to be built. So I partnered with a dear friend, family member from Southern Utah. Her name's Brooke Entz. She was a CrossFit Games competitor. She's has a ranch in Southern Utah. We're very aligned. So she invested the money necessary to start building the software. We built the software in March of last year. So it's our 1 year anniversary going live with software, but 5 years in the making, right? So someday when From the Farms everywhere, you'll be like, oh, that's an overnight success. No, it's not. So we launched the software a year ago. We have over 80 producers nationwide. They build their own store. We don't charge them anything to be on there. The money we earn is just commission only. It's a 15% commission. We chose 15% because the current percentage that the producer gets is only 14% on the dollar. So 14 cents. So my whole thought was, what if we could just flip it on its head in favor of the producer? And with the 15%, we've also said we will never pay that. There's no profit from that. All 15% will go right back into developing the software further to make it as simple as Airbnb and renting a house, more marketing and logistics. Because at some point we got to help simplify getting it to the customer, right? But all of the commission is going to go back into making this better for you. And then it's our responsibility as a philanthropic for-profit company to find other ways to monetize this software so that the marketplace wholly exists to serve our producers. If we can do that, I think we see in the farming space what we saw in the short-term rental space. How many people got involved in short-term rentals financially because it made sense and it was easy? If we can make farming and selling direct profitable and simple, more people will get into farming and we can fix the supply chain. The only option for the future of America is to take the 1.8 million farms we currently have and increase that by 3 to 5 million in 5 years. Small farms, we're talking 100 acres and less, but growing for your community and not worrying about everything else. That's where they tricked us. They tricked our farmers into believing they needed to feed the world, not their community. And now we're in trouble.
Definitely. And with the cutbacks of a lot of the falsehoods of US aid and now trying to rebuild what they were doing overseas, it's going to take a hot minute to rebuild that brand and make sure that things are doing what they're supposed to do to keep these farmers able to sustain on the plan that they had without trying to change things on the fly. And then if you can add in what you're doing, that might help them to not rely so much on a hiccup happening again and maybe live a little longer doing their trade.
Yeah, I mean, let's say worst case scenario, let's say we get all these people connected with them and then we have some major disruption, but now everybody already knows they're local farmers and they're already connected. Like that's a stable supply chain is when the people who produce the most important thing we need as a living organism, which is sustenance,
right?
And we don't know who they are. That is not a healthy ecosystem. So we're just trying to bring that back together. And that's the big companies don't want that because they make their billions by being the aggregator. And we're saying, okay, we'll be the aggregator, but we're going to do it differently. We're going to use technology and we're just going to make the marketplace, but the farmers own their own stores and you're just connecting them directly and we're just staying out of it.
Definitely. And you've seen David Gordon said outstanding and Jake jumped in. What are the chances of a fella coming to you and learning a bit about the trade for a week or so?
Yeah, if you wanted to come out to the slaughterhouse here, I don't work there anymore, but I consult with them and they would love to have you out here. So I can definitely make that happen. And
I'll see if I'll let them go.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Our slaughterhouse here is connected to our restaurant downtown. So if you come to Cody, go to Legacy Butcher and Burger. So we've worked on hyper localizing restaurants. So all the burgers are from the slaughterhouse, from local beef. They've got a butcher counter in there. The beef in there comes from Marbled Meats in Montana. We know them personally. You can buy raw dairy, eggs, homemade bread. The vegetable guy delivers there. I mean, we've made it a local market pickup, and that's all part of the slaughterhouse. So if you wanted to go process and then cook a steak, put all that into your training while you're here, they could facilitate the whole thing.
He gave a thumbs up, so he's ready.
Nice.
He's ready. He's ready to hop on the next thing smoking, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to work by myself at the office. I think you answered this question already without the question being asked, but Slushy Rule asks, how does the farm ensure quality and transparency compared to grocery stores?
Great question. Our job is to let you ask that to the farmer. So when you go to their store, there's a little chat bubble at the bottom. Now you can ask the person growing your food directly the things that matter to you. That's the best way to do it. Why would we be why would you trust us, another entity, to make those decisions for you? Because we don't trust a lot of entities right now anyway. So we're just trying to bring such transparency that you could find out. Now, we do have plans as we continue to develop our software. And folks, we're a startup. Like, we're doing this bootstrapped. We've got a crowdfunding campaign that's raised over $320,000. People are helping us make this happen. So when you go there, we love it. We're proud of where we're at, but we didn't go raise $1 billion from a VC, right? So, but we will eventually have icons that will help people identify, and places for our producers to put their own documentation to show supporting documentation on their claims. That way you can find that out without even having to call them, but we'll get there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
David said he loves listening to AJ. Someday hope to really pick your brain in Panguitch, Utah. I hope I said that.
Yeah,
right.
man. I know Penguins really well. David, I think we served together because that picture of yours looks like one of the guys from the Triple Deuce. So you look very familiar, sir. And Penguitch, I mean, I deployed with those guys. So if he was National Guard, I'll bet we deployed together.
Probably.
And yes, I would love to meet up with you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another question came in from @Polona. What's one thing consumers can do today to start supporting local farmers and ranchers?
Two things. Yeah, two things. Your dollars matter. Spend them with them. If there are farmers and ranchers that you just need to shop. Some are going to be more money than others. They might have a different value proposition than others, but buy from them. That's the biggest thing you can do. Then the second thing is use your platform. If you have a social media platform, share out all of this junk that's happening to our food supply chain, so that, like, I have seen over the years I've been really zeroing in on this and participating, social media has affected things that would have severely hurt farmers and ranchers because enough people made enough noise. They didn't have a choice. The water curtailment in Idaho, which I think is probably going to be a problem again, but last year got postponed because of social media. In Oregon, they were trying to shove down the throat of all these, you had one dairy cow. They wanted you to follow the same rules as being an actual production dairy. Go figure, it was the dairy lobby that was pushing that through, right? Because what they knew is all these backyard farmers would have sold the cow instead of putting $100,000 of infrastructure in. So social media stopped that from happening. So those are the two things: buy from your farmer and rancher and rally behind them. Like, if there was one hill for people to pick to die on, it's your food.
David said he was with the 2020th Transportation Company out of Arizona, served with Adam Bird in 2003. Outstanding. Nice. Thanks, David. Jake jumped in, said he can answer that, using only premium feed and hay, no hormones, and genetically superior beef, hogs, and sheep.
Yeah, see, so if Jake's on the platform and you can send him that question and you get that answer back, you're knowing what you're buying.
There it is. And at Alan Wonder, do you think food shortages and supply chain issues will get worse? And what can we do to prepare and stay food secure? Thanks, Alan Wonder.
Yeah. I wonder if I should, I haven't brought this out for a while, but that's a good question for my tinfoil cowboy hat.
There it is. All right. Ding, 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 ding.
Just kidding. But that was a little shtick I had for a while, talking about this question exactly. I think, honestly, America is on the precipice of famine. And I don't say that flippantly. if we make it through without some severe disruption somewhere, personally, I think it'll be by the grace of God. We've got a lot of things going against us. More bee die-off than they've seen ever. Some of the big bee operations have seen a 60% hive kill-off.
Wow.
So you've got bee issues, and we need the bees to pollinate. You've got concerns around chemicals being used on our food. You've got the lack of the numbers of cattle, like I was talking about. And now we're, it's not a stable global environment, right? And we're dependent on foreign imports. So the cards are stacked against us, is what I'm saying. And doing nothing isn't an option. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the best thing about doing what I'm doing, just so you guys know, there is hope, because I've met thousands of people also working on this. We just need more. There are 320 million consumers. How many of them are producers or supporting producers? If we have only 1.8 million growers, every one of those growers should be surrounded by a few million consumers. There was a case in Pennsylvania with an Amish farmer who was raided and had to go to court because they got rid of everything, and now they were going to fine him and probably put him in jail. That case was thrown out because over 400 people that bought his food directly knew him, shook his hand, went to his farm and picked it up, showed up for him in court.
Wow.
And now he's producing food. And that, by the way, is what caused the Amish, one of the major things that caused the Amish to show up for the election.
Wow.
That incident. And it was around farming. It's around your food. And so that's what I think. I think the supply chain is in real trouble. We have around 30 slaughterhouses processing 80% of the beef we consume. Those are, I won't go there I don't want to give the play cards away, but that's what we have. So when the shortages happened in 2021 and they limited you, JBS, the largest of the processors, got hacked, and they had to pay an $11 million ransom a week later. But that's why the limits were put on in 2021, because they hacked one of the few slaughterhouses. So we got a lot of work to do, but the benefit is, or the positive thing is there's a lot of people doing this. We just need people in the ranks. That's it.
Definitely. I think part of it's going to be out lobbying the lobbyists as well.
Yes.
Getting to Capitol Hill before the suits get up there and actually lobby through their constituent, through the person that you have elected into government, lobby to them before they get their pockets greased or their pockets lined by that lobbyist, and let them know that they're actually hurting the people that vote for them.
Yeah.
And that might actually turn the table a little bit.
Yeah. We need public lobbyists.
Right.
Citizen lobbyists. That's what we need. And I mean, look for companies like ours, get to know the people founding them that are trying to make the difference, and become a citizen lobbyist for them. We cannot outspend BlackRock and Vanguard, and they own everything. We can't outspend them. We're doing everything we possibly can, and we have great momentum from the farm, but we're doing everything we can. The only thing we can't do is get more people to share our story unless they hear about it, see that we're somebody they would like to support, and then talk about it. And we're not the only ones. I've shaken the hand of many people doing similar projects like ours, and they're amazing people. And that's who's going to help make the difference. It won't be a government entity. It won't be a large corporation. It'll be grassroots organizations that, you mentioned doing something during COVID instead of just sitting around.
Right.
The people that put us in the situation we are in now are the ones who did something right after World War II. They got involved then. So if we want to see something better, not entirely corporatized, we're like in that shadow of COVID and all the politics and stuff where we have a chance, but it's going to be grassroots entities with people that have these strong commitments to not just building something to turn around and sell it to a company. Like, that's our commitment. We are not selling. This is a legacy company. We got to protect this opportunity to fix the supply chain. So
definitely. And we'll go with one more question from the audience here from Nance3. What challenges do small farmers and ranchers face when trying to sell direct to consumers, and how does your platform help?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, great question. So I built my platform because I didn't have access to what would have helped me with my cousin outside of the slaughterhouse side. Because there was a lot I was not doing very well before the slaughterhouse became an issue. And I've started I've started and helped launch 2 other direct-to-consumer meat companies, and the challenges are always the same. Marketing and logistics. Marketing and logistics are the 2 biggest challenges that face producers that we're focused on finding ways to solve. So what that means is our goal is to raise enough money and grow enough that we are the ones doing the marketing to drive millions of consumers to a platform like, Airbnb is why we use that term. They did so much to simplify that system that's where everybody went because it was easy and it became a household name. And now it works. If we can do that with From the Farm and everybody's involved in this mission, now the producer only has to produce, because you're talking about a job or a lifestyle that just the production of food is more work than most people ever do. It's a big job. And then you say, okay, now sell direct. Okay. So you need a website, and then you need all of the infrastructure to manage it. And then you need somebody to help you learn how to do marketing and sales and figure out how to ship frozen meat and keep it frozen, so there's a lot of challenges, and From the Farm was designed to handle all of those. Now, do we handle all of those right now? Certainly not. We're a startup, but they are all on our roadmap. And the more momentum we gain, the more of those we can check off. We've done so well now, and we're so far ahead in this that we have really great partnerships coming our way that could accelerate what we're doing quite rapidly. So good question. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate
Great answer too. We blew through a lot of topics here tonight in 56 minutes. So it's awesome. Yeah. Considering we just linked up, I think it was yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And got you on today. So that's one of our quickest turnarounds. Thanks, Adam, for the hookup. And it's been great chatting with you. And I hope that this chat here maybe reaches out to one of those big head guys that sit on the hill and write numbers on papers and maybe makes them change their mind, or starts that individual lobbyist thing, the human lobbyist, not the corporate lobbyist, to get up there and go on the hill and get there when they have to be there and talk to those big heads up there, those old guys that are sitting in there being rich off other lobbyists. Let's make them understand that there's poor people out there and struggling people that need to work, get their product out there and do great things. AJ, any final thoughts for the audience?
The only final thought is just, if you made it to the end of this thing, you've heard where I think we're at. And the only thing that will make a difference is you that's listening actually getting involved somewhere. That's all it's taken. There are so many people that are positioned well to take care of all of this. They just need your support. So do that and we'll be all right.
And one last thing, 2 last things, actually, AJ. I lied to you. One, what's the best way to get in contact with you if someone wants to chat with you?
You can find me on social media, Instagram, @J_Richards. On X, it's AJ Richards. So you can connect with me there. You can shoot an email to support@fromthefarm.org. And yeah, that's really how you can hang out. And then check out fromthefarm.org and follow our social medias there. Give us some love. We'd appreciate that.
Definitely. And I put all those links in the chat while you were answering some of the questions. I put all your links in there. So, yeah, and it's also in the show notes. So just click on those and follow, subscribe to his YouTube, and let's get that momentum rolling. AJ, last question. Before I let any guests leave, I asked them what 3 things the audience can do starting tomorrow to maybe be more successful in life. What are 3 things you would tell them?
Oh, good question. Get up early. Doesn't have to be super early, but get up around 7-ish if you're not already. I mean, that could be early for some people. Yes. Just get up early enough where you got an hour to read. So it's time to ponder, time to read, time to worship, if that's what you do. Cold plunges could change your life. Might be something that you'd never even want to do, but you'll be surprised what that does. And third thing, exercise.
Awesome. So we got get up early, give yourself that hour to center yourself, read, pray, whatever you're going to do at that time. The cold plunge. It's the first time we've heard that one here. It's cold plunging. So, and exercise. We hear exercise or move every day. So I think that cold plunge might throw people over the edge, but it's fun. I've done it in the backyard here. It's not fun at first, but you get used to it.
Yep, 100%.
So AJ, thank you again for at least being on within one day. So it's awesome. And I look forward to everything you're doing, and I'm probably going to get one of those hats off your site here. It's a pretty cool hat. But
awesome.
Thanks for coming on, Misfit Nation. Thanks for taking your time tonight away from the Sweet 16. As Jake told me in the chat, it's also the start of baseball. So I didn't know that at all. So go baseball today too. And we'll be back on Sunday night and then Tuesday and Thursday next week as well. AJ, have a great night. Misfit Nation, we love you.
You too.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.